huge congrats on the film thus far.
Thank you.
Lots of Golden Globe attention, potential Oscar attention coming soon. Fingers crossed. How have you found the whole promoting of this movie? Because you're in a award season where you kind of talk about the film more than maybe you would if you were doing a big summer movie, because it seems that for months you need to talk about the same movie. Although it's not a bad film to talk about.
I mean, that's exactly correct. At the end of the day, this was like a great film to work on, and just an amazing experience. And so I'm kind of like delighted to talk about it with people. It's different than like, promoting something in the theater, because you have to go back and do the show that night. So you're constantly living in it. So I guess the nice thing is that I'm kind of divorced from the movie in this way, because we shot it 3 years ago at this point. So, I'm removed, and I just get to talk about this thing that happened, this summer camp that I joined, 3 years ago. That was a great experience,
Is it strange, the whole kind of the fact that it was 3 years ago? Because again, obviously lots of things out of everybody's hands, obviously. But sure. Is it strange to be talking about it 3 years ago? It sounds like it was such a good experience that you'd still be talking about it in 50 years, I'm sure, if someone asked you.
Yeah. I mean, there will always be anecdotes, I think, told about this experience from all of us, about the making of this movie and the time that we had making it. And I mean, it was just such a joyous experience in making it. Just not only being in love with this story and the history of it, but I think artistically very fulfilling. I think for everyone involved, and the amount of giving that Stephen really gave to all of us, the amount of empowerment that he really allowed for us to all like take charge of our departments, and give him our best work. It was just such a great experience.
Take me back to, well, it would be probably more than 3 years now. It would be maybe 4 years ago. I don't know if you've seen, but over the weekend, Rachel was on Graham Norton and she talked about how she auditioned and her experiences and how much she wanted to get the role. How did that kind of play out for you? Did you have 6 months of auditioning, a year of auditioning? How did it go down for you?
Yeah, I had first submitted a tape with casting in February of 2018. And then I submitted another tape like June or July of 2018. And finally was in the room with Stephen November of 2018. And then there was a lot of ups in the airs and scheduling and conflicts and trying to, finagle. Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And that really didn't pull the trigger on it until February. I was working on a film and I got a call from my agent on a Friday saying, can you be there at rehearsal on Monday? And that's when I knew I got the job. I was like, okay, this is actually happening now. So it was quite the dramatic, unraveling of it all.
What was your reaction when you found out? Because Rachel said she dropped in quite a few swear words. Was that the same for you?
No, I mean, for me, it was me for, I knew that Stephen wanted me in November based off of the energy in the room and kind of what was being discussed and talked about. And I knew that he wanted me, and I knew that it was all just going to be a logistical nightmare and trying to just figure out whether or not it could actually happen. And that's what it was. It was kind of this long played out build up of will it, won't it, will it, won't it. And so when it finally was, the green light show up to rehearsal on Monday, just, okay, I guess we're doing this, let's go.
Yeah. And the lure of West Side Story? I mean, there's always remakes and reimaginings of certain things, but it feels like West Side Story, even though it is a classic and obviously the show and the film, there's something very special about this one because of Stephen's love for the material, and it's the one thing he's kind of always wanted to do. That must have been, as you said before, it must have been really infectious, and you must have from day one gone, this is not just special, but we have to make sure that we bring our A game because this is special to Stephen in many, many ways.
Yeah. And not just, I mean, it's special to, I knew that it was it's certainly special to me, and I think I can go and speak for the rest of the cast and Tony, and that it holds a very special place in our hearts for all of us theater people, you know, and that's why it is, at least on stage, told over and over and over again, and reapproached. So given the opportunity to, of course, do the film adaptation of it, just heightens it just a little bit more. But it's always exciting because this story holds such a dear place in all of our hearts, and it's universal and it's timeless, and you know, it just does something for all of us that we can't help but be drawn and fall in love with it all. And I guess that kind of goes back to Shakespeare, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I will drop in that you still have to impress the biggest critic in the world, which is my mum, because she hasn't had the chance to see it yet. And it is, since I was little, one of the two things she talks about, that and Greece, were like the most important things to her. So you've still got the most important critic to please, yeah. But I'm sure she had the reaction of a few people, I guess, where she was like, "They're remaking West Side Story?
Yeah.
That's weird." But then I said, "Oh, Steven Spielberg's directed that," and she was like, "Oh,
Well,
oh."
yeah, it's like, oh, well, we'll see.
We'll see what she says.
Hopefully we can win her over.
Fingers crossed. I'm sure you will. Tell me about the lure of Riff. Now, was this the character you were always kind of auditioning for, or was there a change, or was it kind of a blanket audition where you just wanted to be part of the film, or was it always Riff? And if so,
Yeah.
what's the lure of him to you as a performer?
Initially, casting asked if I would submit a tape and come into their office for Tony. So I did that. That was in February of that 2019. That was the initial audition of it. And I was about to leave Dear Evan Hansen at the time. So I had like long hair and black fingernail polish and, you know, very different Tony. And then it wasn't until that June or July date that summer where they were actually asking me if I would actually come in for a Riff. And there was something in me, you know, as an actor, you put your thing out there and you let it go and you just say, it is what it is, or you try your best to divorce yourself from any outcomes or expectations of the thing. So after that tape for Tony, okay, forget about it. Then the summer they were saying, well, actually, we would like you to come in for Riff. And there was something in me that, like deep in me, that ignited a little bit and got very excited. But, you know, you put the tape together and you let it go. And then they asked, okay, well, they're interested, but you'd have to dance in November. And I tried to get out of dancing. I called my agent and said, do I really have to? Like, can I just come in and like do the scene and maybe sing a song, but just, you know, work on the scene work? And my agent said to me, it's West Side Story, Mike. Like, so I gritted my teeth, you know, I grinned and bear it and went in there and did my best. And, but yeah, I mean, growing up with the film, seeing it on stage, Riff has always been, I think, a character that everyone kind of can't help but be magnetically drawn to. Everyone's drawn to Mercutio in that way. There's just that charisma and that energy about that character that you just can't help but fall in love with. And in West Side Story and in this adaptation with Tony, I mean, Tony Kushner really gave me a huge gift in making it go deeper and more nuanced and complicated. And, you know, for me, he just kind of gave me the football and let me run with it.
Yeah, and it is immediate as well with Riff, because in the first 10 minutes with the opening number and everything else, you do kind of get that the magnetism kind of bleeds off the screen quite quickly, in terms of that, like you say, he's a bit of a bad boy, but also people seem to be drawn to him and his affection for the people around him, even if there is these partings. What was it like to be part of this cast? Because you've got David, and obviously Rita's come back, but then you've got Ariana, who is just incredible in the film, Rachel, everybody else in there as well. It must have been so infectious to be around all those amazing performers.
It really was. And, you know, on my end, my experience with the rehearsal process and the filmmaking, it really was me, and of course working with David and Ariana and Ansel and Rachel and Rita, of course, all of them, but where my process or the building of that role really was with those Jets, those 15 guys. And we just had the time of our life. I took them all out after the first rehearsal day. We all got beers, and I wanted them to feel a real sense of ownership of this version of it. I wanted them, a lot of them were just dancers. None of them had done a film before. None of them have done any sort of acting before. And I didn't want them to feel like they had to. I just wanted them to really feel like they were a part of each other's lives in a very deep and meaningful way. And I just wanted everyone to spend time together. And so I brought up this idea with them of doing what I called Jettivities, which was we all had to choose some activity. Every single one of us had to choose some sort of activity, and no matter what it was, we all had to do it. And we did a lot of shenanigans that summer, man. We had a really great time just running around New York. It was great. It was we did weird things like LARPing. Have you ever heard of LARPing?
I have not heard of LARPing. No.
Live action role play. It's a bunch of guys who go to a park, guys and gals and people of all sorts and walks of life. They go to a park and they do this like reenactment of a war. And so they're all carrying these like cushioned swords and spears and bows and arrows.
I've seen it in role models. Models.
And they just beat the crap out of each other. I mean, they beat the crap out of each other. It was a lot of fun and very painful. Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that kind of sets you up for the battle, shall we say?
Exactly. Played laser tag with each other. We got a house upstate with the Sharks and hung out for a weekend.
That sounds like fun. It's those experiences that endure for you guys as performers, isn't it? When you get those.
Yeah, and so I really felt the 4 months leading up to shooting. That was such a gift, having that amount of time and with those group of guys, as opposed to just showing up on set day one and being like, we're this family. We really crafted that from the beginning. So when the cameras were rolling, it was just there. It was there. Absolutely. Nothing else had to happen. Yeah,
absolutely. As a final question then, what for you in the film and on the show, or you performing it in the film, what's your favorite kind of song or the kind of dance number that goes alongside it that's your favorite from either your version or from West Side Story in general?
That I was in, or just in general with West Side?
Well, as riff, shall we say? What was your favorite one to perform?
Well, a big fun one, just a fun one, because it had everyone involved, was the dance at the gym. So much fun, and learning the choreography for that and actually executing that through the week with everybody was so much fun. But in terms of artistic fulfillment, I really have to say Cool, because of the different take on it, and the story arc that Tony and Justin and Ansel and myself and Steven wanted to tell within that story of their two bond, of seeing the beginning and the middle and the end of their relationship, and putting that into a dance and doing that. It was challenging and quite a joy to do.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. Absolute pleasure talking to you, and continued good luck with the film going into award season. Let's see, shall we?
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you so much for your time.